section 3.1 is polynomial functions. First of all, just some basic functions. F of x is the same thing as y equals, so y equals some number is a constant. This is linear, quadratic, cubic, and quartic. Most of the time we're working with quadratic and linear, so that's just them listed. An exponent must be a positive integer, and these are some characteristics. They need to be continuous, smooth, no jumps, no sharp corners, no holes. This is just a basic information page. Next, when we're talking about zeros of polynomials, that's when we set all of these factor form equal to 0 and solve. When you do that, when you get x minus 3 equals 0 and you solve, you're going to get 3, you're going to get a negative 7, and you're going to get a negative 2. That's when we set those equal to individually, set this equal to 0 and solve, this equal to 0 and solve, this equal to 0 and solve. And next concept, we have zeros and multiplicity. Okay, when you look at the graph of them, evens will touch the x-axis and turn around, odds will cross the x-axis. So this is the picture. See how the even never crosses this axis? The odds will cross through, and that'll make more sense in a minute. So on this problem, they say find the zeros of each function. So if I take x minus 1, set it equal to 0 and solve, I'm going to get 1. And I have to do that 2 times because it is there 2 times. So I get x minus 1 equals 0, solve, then I do x plus 2 equal to 0. When I solve this, I get negative 2, x minus 4 equals 0. When I solve this, I'm going to get positive 4. So it says find the zeros in the multiplicity. Z stands for my zeros. I have 1, 1, negative 2, and 4. Those are my zeros. Multiplicity means how many times did it happen. The 0, 1 happened 2 times. Only got negative 2. Actually my 0, since I have it twice, I don't only list it once. So I get 1, negative 2, 4. So I list 1, negative 2, 4, and then I'm going to say I have 1 twice. I have negative 2 only 1 time, and positive 4 only 1 time. So that's your zeros. List all your zeros, and then list how many times you got that answer, that 0. That's the multiplicity. Extremes of polynomial. Basically, you look at your leading terms, whatever your polynomial function is, and it's going to have these characteristics. So let me put a few examples on here, and maybe that'll make a little more sense. So if this is 2x to the 4th, when I look at this 4 and my exponent's even, even numbers just means it's going to finish in the same direction. They're either both going to be up or they're both going to be down, finish in the same direction. I look at this and I say it's positive, so I'm thinking up, so both finish in the same direction, up. An example of this one would be negative 2x to the 4th. The first thing I look at my leading term, I check the exponent. When I see it's even, I say, oh, that means they're both in the same direction. Then I come and look at this term. I say it's negative, so it means they're both down in the same direction. An example of this one would be 2x to the 7th. When I look at my leading term, I find the exponent, it's odd. I'm thinking odd means opposite directions. They're going to finish, one's going to finish up and one's going to finish down. Now, when I look in front, I see it's positive, so I'm thinking it's going to finish my opposite directions, but it's going to finish up, which is here. Finishes up, and they're in opposite directions. And my last one is going to be, if I have negative 2x to the 7th, as my leading term, I look at my exponent and say it's odd. Odd means they're going to finish in opposite directions. I look here and I say, oh, my last direction is going to be finishing down. So when this one finished down, that means this one up. So I'm going to look at our leading terms to make some decisions on what things should look like. So it says look at the extreme values and let's match these graphs up. First thing I'm going to do is go through and mark the leading term. The leading term, I'll look at the exponent and say odd. Since it's odd, I know it finishes in opposite directions. So that means it's either this one or this one. Okay? I look out in the front, it finishes, it's a plus, so I know it's going to finish in opposite directions, and it's going to finish up. This one finishes down, this one finishes up, so I'm going to say this one's A. My leading term in this B is 2x to the fourth. When I see a 4 is even, that means I know it's going to finish in the same direction. So it's either this graph or this graph. I come here and I see that's positive, so I know it's going to finish up in the same direction. Alright, next, my leading term is this one, even though it's out of order. It's going to be this one. My exponent is a 4. That means it's finishing in the same direction, and this tells me they finished down in the same direction, so that's going to be this graph right here. Leading term in this one is right here. Well, that marker's messed up. So this is my leading term, and I'm going to say this is 7 is odd, so they finish in opposite directions, and it finishes down, so that's going to be my D. Alright, I'm just going to answer some questions. They give me a long polynomial function, and I'm going to say my leading term is this, so it's negative 2x to the fourth. What is my leading coefficient? That's the number in front of that. That's negative 2. My degree is the highest exponent, which is 4. That means if I look at my leading term, that's this right here, I say they both finish in the same direction because it's even, and it tells me it's going to finish down, so it's going to finish down in the same direction. My far right behavior is down, my far left behavior is down. The y-intercept, to find the y-intercept, you let x equal 0. Well, if this is 0, it goes away. This is 0, this is 0, this is 0, then I'm just getting negative 7. So when I let x equal 0, y was negative 7. To find your y-intercept, let x equal 0. And it says, at most, how many zeros could this thing have? Well, your leading term says at most you can have is 4. Okay? And maximum and minimums is always 1 less than your zeros. So if the zeros can be at most 4, the max and mins can be at most 3.